Imagine you're in Las Vegas, and after many years of dreaming about it, you finally got your ticket to see the show of who is known the best magician of the century. But just before you go, you decide to make some research, and unfortunately for you, you find a lot of reviews like this. Well, we can all agree that this is not the best starting point. And in this video, I will share with you my honest opinion about this show, so whenever you're planning to go to Las Vegas anytime soon, you have everything you need to know to consider if it's worth your time and money. So if this sounds good to you, sit down, relax, because we're about to see how it all started. Hi guys, as you can see, we are actually now in Las Vegas on our way to the MGM Grand Hotel, which is the hotel that is hosting currently David Copperfield's magic show. So if you want to see if it's worth it or not going, if you want to hear my honest opinion as an experienced magician, stay and watch this video till the end, because I will give you all the thoughts and honest opinion about it. Let's go with. So we just arrived at the MGM Grand Hotel, and here right now is the entrance of the David Copperfield Theater. I'm super excited. I don't know how to describe it, because for me, he was one of my idols. And as you can see now, there's so many things about his trajectory. And this statue is not only himself, but the representation on all the most famous and popular illusions. You can see, for example, when he walked through the Wall of China, then his most famous levitation, and also the Statue of Liberty disappearing. So enough talking right now, because it's time to get inside the theater. Come in. So now we just got seated, we are almost ready for the show. And what I can tell you so far about the impressions I have about the theater, it's very intimate, it's nice, so I think it's gonna make a difference whenever we start and see the show. So for obvious reasons, I cannot record the show, but we're gonna be talking about every single detail right now after the show. So now with that being said, let's talk about the good and the bad. So starting with the good, something I would like to point out is first the theater and the vibe it creates. The whole atmosphere created around it during the show, I think it's great. The space itself allows this opportunity to create a merge in between two worlds, like the world of big illusions that are performed in stage in a big format, and also this proximity format that comes more from close-up or parlor, that thanks to the space it's able to merge very well, which I think from a magic point of view it was incredible to see things like somebody levitating between the audience or even disappearing. So this, from my point of view, the theater itself, the atmosphere that it was able to create was well designed, perfect for it, and I think this was a very good point. Something else that caught my attention in a positive way was the staff and the technical assistants. The staff on the show, the ones that were working behind the scenes or the ones who were setting the props to start the next illusion, it was so impressive to me to see how many people were working in such a coordinated, fast and smooth way that even though I could see them, it was not creating visual noise. It was just impressive to see how everything was set up in just a matter of seconds, and that's something I was really impressed about. Not only for that, but also for the video assistants, that I was thinking, this is crazy, because there were many times that a camera was needed to create the perfect angle to make people see what they could not see, because maybe it was in between the audience and we needed, like, let's say a last look to create this visual contrast, or to see that actually there was nothing in the box before something happened. That's that's great, because there's many times that a lot of people would like to see for the last time what's inside the box, for example, but because of the angles or because of the redundancy, you will not do it. But thanks to the camera and the way they were making it work, it felt so smooth, and I think it contributed a lot to create a lot of the illusions and make them a lot stronger. So on that side, I would say that was very positive point, and I was very impressed about it. Something very positive that I would like to point out is the uniqueness of the show itself. As a magician and as a person who have seen a lot of magic, I can tell you that all the illusions you will see there are unique. And by unique, I don't mean that it's something that it has never been done before. We're just all the time playing with the same premises, but the way they're executed, all the props needed to achieve that in such a impressive and visual way, it's only possible to be experienced there. And that part I was feeling I was seeing something unique, and that's something that I appreciate, and I'm thankful that I had the chance to see it myself. So next thing I really enjoy a lot was the quality of the effects itself. I could see that visually speaking, the way it was executed was great, perfect. The technical aspect was, of course, I don't know much about it because I'm not the engineer or the person behind the scenes, but as a magician, I could tell you that most of it was executed perfectly, super smooth, all the visual factor present most of the time, and I never seen big illusions being performed as the way they are performed there and how well are executed. Because whenever I think about big illusions, I normally do not have a good taste, because I personally feel that big illusions did not evolve as much, like for example close-up magic to this day. But David, because of this uniqueness we were talking about, he's been able to shape and customize these big illusions and make them different, more visual, or better. And actually I have a very positive thing to share with you. I got the chance to sit right in the perfect place to see David Copperfield teleporting himself from stage back in front of my face. That was something that I was not expecting, and it was a very positive surprise for me, and I really enjoyed that, and probably I will have it for the rest of my life in my memory. And if you like the image of what I just described, by the end of this video I will share with you the exact place you have to sit if you would like to see David Copperfield teleporting from stage and reappearing right in front of your face. It is something that you don't see coming. It is so well executed that even though you know it, you will not see it coming. And that's something that I'm sure you'll enjoy. So make sure to stay till the end of this video. And finally, I would like to close this section to talk about what is probably the thing that attracted me the most about the figure of David Copperfield, which is his charisma and personality. During the show, I could definitely see the David Copperfield I grew up and I got inspired from. And that's something that I really like because it connects directly with my version of me when I started into magic and seeing those great pieces of magic being performed in the TV specials, that was something I was definitely looking for, and I got it there. Even though later we'll talk about this, there was some issues with it, as most of the times it was hard to see that figure and that charisma. But yeah, at least I got the chance to see it. I got the chance to experience and connect with that younger version of me, learning magic and getting inspired by him. So from my point of view, that was a very positive part of the show. Well, now it's time to talk about the things I did like about the show. And something I would like to remark here is that I was very surprised that a lot of the negative things I was seeing in the show were coming from somebody like David Copperfield. I'm sure that he probably knows about it, but for some reason, and for what I could see on the reviews, these things are still happening. So I don't know what's happening there, but still, I want to share them with you so you are well aware before you get your ticket. I would like to start this section by talking about what I think is the major issue of the show, which is the lack of connection. And as you will see later, I'll be talking about other negative things that are indirectly or directly connected to this fact. But I think what really made the difference, or what really created this disconnection, was the way David Copperfield was presenting and introducing the effects. Not only by the way he was doing it, but also his energy and vibe. I could tell that he didn't want to be there. He was rushing the presentations, he was talking sometimes too fast, which from my point of view, I was surprised to see somebody as experienced as him committing this, from my point of view, beginner mistakes. Of course, you can have good days, bad days, that's okay. But considering the reviews I saw, a lot of people agree and would agree with what I'm saying. And I understand also that you're doing so many shows during the week and always the same, and it must be exhausting, must be tiring. Unfortunately, I could just enjoy this figure of David Copperfield, this charisma I was having in my mind, just in few moments where there was a nice joke or a very well staged situation that he knows how to interpret and goes all the time the same way and it works. And what I think it also creates a huge disconnection just in the very beginning of the show. Because something I noticed also is that even though you could see impossible things happening in front of your seat, people's reaction was like, okay, it's good, it's great, but the quality of the effects and the impact of the effects were not corresponding with people's reaction and energy. This is the indication that there was no connection, or not as much connection in between the audience and David in this case. And I think what created this already was in the beginning of the show, by getting this energy and this vibe that he didn't want to be there. I'm very sad to say it, but yeah, this is one of the things that I was very disappointed about. And I'm sure he knows, but again, if I pay for a ticket to see you, I want to see you and see what make you famous, not only the illusions, but also who you are as an artist. Something else I was really surprised to see there was the excess of information and processes to get to the final conclusion of the effect. What I mean is that a lot of times, in most of the illusions, there was a huge excess of elements and decorative things around it. Of course, I'm missing a lot of information here because I'm sure that a lot of things that are on the stage are not there for free. At the same time, I understand that they are there to making it more beautiful, or I don't know, create a certain feeling or vibe with certain colors, objects, and textures. But I was feeling that there were many times that you could remove most of the things if this allows, of course, still the effect be well hidden, the secret well hidden, that were creating, from my point of view, visual noise that I think was impacting the experience of the spectators whenever they were seeing, for example, a car appear. I'm sure that you could cut or remove a lot of the things that you could see in every of the illusions, and even the processes to get to the final conclusion, and still the effect will be great and will be a lot easier to digest, and therefore create an easier, better reaction, so people will not have to think, oh, what I saw here, what's just happening here. So all these questions and distractions, I think, were impacting people's experience with it. Even though it was impressive, was great, I personally think that you can remove most of the elements and still make the effect a lot clearer and easy and more visual to digest for the spectators. And I know I don't have all the information, but still, as my experience, I was feeling like, I'm sure there's a lot of things I can remove here. Even though they look beautiful and they have aesthetic purpose, I don't think it was creating a perfect environment for certain illusions to make them easier or create a better contrast. Well, something else I was negatively impressed to see was the anticlimactic reveals. And I'm saying I was impressed because somebody like him, and knowing that he has a lot of consultancy around him, I'm surprised they're still considering doing certain things the way they do. For example, you could see there was a very impossible prediction. People just saying random numbers, colors, and all in, let's say, kind of a lottery number, and everything was predicted inside a box. The way to get into there was extremely overloaded with processes, with things that, considering that you have an audience that does not speak English, most of them does not speak English as their native language, I think it's creating just this confusion that even though you created such a great prediction in a very clear method, in a very impossible way, was making people feel like, oh, okay, that was good, but I just believe you because I got lost at the middle of the process. And this also connected to the things we were talking before, but the anticlimactic reveal of it is not only the fact that you reveal it after such a long process, but also that after revealing the main prediction, then you have a second prediction that is nested, or it's somewhere else in a smaller, or is printed or grafted or craved in another place. And not only that, but also in another place, which from my point of view was not making the prediction or the reveal of the prediction any better. You just got the big reveal, everything was clear, everything was in impossible conditions, so put and invest all your focus there. Of course, this could just be his approach, I understand it, but I could tell by the reaction of the people that was a bit anticlimactic, because once you see the big reveal, the rest feels like, okay, you're diluting the value of the main thing or the main magic impact you created. The prediction was great and was very impossible, but I was surprised to see things like this happening in a show that has been tested and performed for so many years. Something else I think was contributing a lot to create this lack of connection was the emotional and premise inconsistencies. And if you don't know David, his style is kind of like deep or emotional. There's a lot of effects that he introduces with the premise of something that is kind of like emotional. For example, most of his show was related to his father and his relationship with his father. And there was a moment where he was talking about the things he couldn't say to him, like, for example, I love you, before he passed away. And, many things that I don't remember now. But once you start to sell this idea and you start to get emotional, first, your acting skills were not going as much with the premise you were talking about, because you could feel it was kind of fake. His attitude on the stage, he didn't want to be there. You could feel it. So trying to introduce such a deep topic and such a serious one with this kind of behavior or vibe or energy, not making any good for you. And of course, this was creating a huge disconnection for me to not believe, like, okay, well, you just made up this nice story to just have an excuse to introduce this effect. And I think that was a great issue, and it was creating a huge disconnection. But the other thing that was also is the inconsistency on the premise he was introducing. And if you don't want to hear this, there's a big spoiler, even though you know it, you will still enjoy the show. But he was connecting his father's life or job at his time in the Air Force with an alien that he makes appear, and is an alien that he interacts with. Something that happens with that alien is that he is dying. And when you introduce this and you want me to believe this, you should treat everything that goes around it with the urgency that requires when somebody is dying, with somebody that you care, because he was like caring about it, and he was making it the main star for a while. And the premise was like, he was there, he knew his father, but he was dying because he was not on the place he should be, his Earth, and he should come back to his family. And the fact that we introduced the idea that he's dying and that he should get home as soon as possible, but then you spend time doing an illusion that has nothing to do about it. Once you come back to the idea, like, oh, the time is running, you should get back as soon as possible. We should make you, teleport, disappear, whatever. I was like, oh, remember that he was dying, but we were spending time on making a illusion of popping a balloon or making a prediction. So for me, this is an inconsistency that makes me think that the premise you just made is just to make cheap emotional rapport that, from my point of view, was like, okay, what's the point? Why don't you just create another excuse that will allow you to just spend time to make a prediction, to then do some other effect, so you don't have to then, oh, by the way, the time is running and you are dying, so we have to let you go, or we have to, I don't know, make some magic for you to be with your family. So these inconsistencies is what really were making me feel like, okay, I don't see this interesting or deep at all. So this is something that, again, I was very surprised. I'm sure he knows about it, but I guess if it's still happening, probably it's because it works for him. So yes, it is what it is. But from my point of view, this is a huge negative part that, again, contributed to the lack of connection. And finally, I would like to close this section by talking about with what was by far the thing I enjoyed the least seeing there. And that was method exposure. That when I saw it, I was like, what the fuck is going on here? So just to put you in context, there was one of the effects, and I think was the third one or the second one, when there's a member of the audience that is introducing the premise, or the story of it is introduced as he is there because he suffered loss of her wife, girlfriend, I don't remember the details, and she always wanted to be in David Copperfield show, but then she died, and he was there to be part of one of his effects or illusions as a, let's say, a representation of her passed away girlfriend, wife, whatever. And of course, you already feel that this could be staged. It's okay, you're like, okay, let's buy in the idea that this is going on, and you want to do it because you want to fulfill a promise, and so on. So everything is happening, the illusion is great, he makes the guy levitate and then disappear in midair, and that was the middle of the audience. That was super impressive, that was great. And then the guy teleports and reappears in the stage in a very, very majestic way and very nice, and with all the lining and the emotions of the music and everything. And that was good, you just leave it there. It's another illusion, let's move on to the next one. If people could have the idea that that was a stooge and that was somebody there prepared for going through that illusion and create all what we just happened, it could just be there and, we have the theory, but we don't know. But whenever the show ends and you see that same person going from backstage and like receiving all the applauses as if he was a member of this staff, this was like, why you gave away the method? Well, it's not the full method because there's many things going on, but the idea that the people was thinking is a stooge and then they confirm it by you just allowing him to get out of the stage as a member of the staff, I think this is, I don't know, you just destroyed any believable moment that somebody had thinking that that person was there because of all the premise. And this also affects the other premises you introduce that are kind of similar, like you suffer loss or you have somebody who sent you a letter and blah, blah, blah. So why you allow this? That's the main question, and the thing that it was burning in my head that I could not understand. Why is it possible that this was happening? So this was definitely one of the things that I could not process, and I'm still up to this day thinking, and I would like to know from his point of view why this is happening in his show. And I would love to have a conversation with him, like a serious conversation about all this, to just understand his point, because I feel that I'm missing a lot of information that probably could justify all the things I talk about right now. So yeah, and this was something that I could not process as much, and I did not like it at all. So now that we saw the good and the bad from my personal point of view, of course, this is coming from my experience, not the absolute truth. So the question to make is if I would recommend this show to you or not. Well, the answer is yes and no at the same time. Yes, if you are a David Copperfield fan or a magician, and no, if you're a person who is looking for the best magic show in Las Vegas. If you are, again, a fan of David Copperfield or a magician, I would definitely recommend you to go, because it's a one-of-a-kind opportunity and he will not always be there for it. And if you grew up with his illusions and got inspired by him, I think it's a great chance to see part of the career he evolved with. And I think it's very interesting to see all that and the remnant of it. Of course, there will be times, like in my case, where the show is not that great. There will be probably others where he will be great and the energy and everything will be not perfect, but amazing, and will make you feel like, oh, that's the David Copperfield I wanted to see. And I understand the age makes an impact, and of course the fact that you do it many times also makes it a problem. But I feel lucky that I had the chance to see him perform. And for me, it's not only a personal experience that connects myself with my other self when I was 15 years old, just barely starting to magic and seeing his TV special, but also for me has a huge educational value, because I see probably what would be the best magicians in history, and for me this has a huge educational value, and also, as I told you, personal. So just to finish, if you are on the yes part, that you would like to go anyway knowing all this information, and if you would like to see David Copperfield appearing in front of your face, this was the seat I was sitting in that allowed me to see all this happening just in front of my face. You can locate it also in the map. I'm sure that even though you know it, you will not see it coming. And please, if you do, let me know in the comments if you enjoyed it or not. So that was the video. I hope you like it. I hope you enjoy it. I hope you find it insightful and educational. And if so, please don't forget to give me a like. This will help me a lot. And if you like this type of videos, please consider subscribing, as I'll be uploading many other videos that will not only talk about magic and performance in general, but also tutorials in case you would like to start your journey into card magic. So now, if you want to keep exploring my channel, I'll let you hear these super cool tutorials or videos that I'm sure you will enjoy. Thank you so much for watching this video till the end, and I hope to see you in the next one.